This is a tutorial that is meant to show how we can take the OMFIT Python modules that we've developed so far and translate them from Python 2 to Python 3. Just to orient everybody, if you go on the OMFIT main documentation website, under develop, there is this section Python 2 to Python 3 transition, and if you click here, you'll end up to this document, which kind of explains the roadmap that we're taking. So Python 3 is here, and in January 1st, 2020, Python 2.7 support would be dropped. So this is why we are pushing for making this transition. So this is the roadmap that we have thought about, and we're already far along in through the steps that we laid out, we're at this point the framework can run in Python 3. So we're about here where we need to start converting the modules, the physics modules. In the next section, this one kind of describes what I will go through in the tutorial. But fundamentally, what this boils down to is to make a conversion. Usually a developer of the module will start OMFIT in Python 3, and I will show how to do that. And it will import the module that we want to convert in developer mode. When that's done, OMFIT will make an automatic conversion of the source code from Python 2 to Python 3. And it will set this flag, Python 3 flag, in the settings of that module. So that if we push to the repository the changes that are made, this translation is not done again. One thing that we will look at is what this automatic translation does, and we'll kind of review what the changes are before pushing our changes to the main repository. The later section, the document kind of describes the main differences and pitfalls of this transition. So for people who are interested, they can read this section. So let me first show how we can start OMFIT in Python 3. So I'm going to show this on the Iris cluster at GA. So here we're just going to do our usual module load OMFIT unstable. Oops. To start OMFIT with, so usually we would start OMFIT like this, and this would start with the default environment, which is Python 2. If we want to say that we want to start with the Python 3 environment, we would just say capital P3, and that will do. One thing that I want to do is, however, I want to run my own version of OMFIT. I don't want to run the public version. So here I have my public, my personal repository, and so I can do OMFIT P3, and then I'm going to tell OMFIT to start from the current working directory. So this will start OMFIT in Python 3 using this directory as the source for the OMFIT that we're going to start. So when OMFIT starts, we can see that we are in Python 3. This is written up here. In this case, is the version 3.6. If we look at the about, we can see that the source code, the directory that I'm using, is indeed from my home folder, which is what I wanted. And now here, if I do import module. Here I can see that actually OMFIT highlights what modules are in Python 2, and these are modules that will require this automatic conversion. And this automatic conversion, as I said, will only happen if I'm running in developer mode. So this can be done on Iris, but I will actually do this on my laptop, just because I have the editor and the tools that I think are a bit more conducive to do. So here I'm just going to start my Python OMFIT with my Python3 installation, and this is running in PyCharm, and it will just make it easier for us to see what the changes are that that the automatic conversion has done. So same thing as before. In this case, it's Python 3.7. Okay, and as a so if we look at the tutorial, this is a Python 2. Okay, so I'm going to load it. And here we see that the conversion is happening. So this is the 2 to 3 script that is described in the Google Doc that is at work, and it goes through all the scripts, and it mostly it's modifying them. Okay. So there are two parts of this. So first, the 2 to 3 script is executed on all the scripts. And the second part, OMFIT, one of the most insidious, I think, changes of going from Python 2 to Python 3 has been how divisions are handled for integers. And so what OMFIT will do is it will try to detect integer divisions. And so here it will say, it will say where, things to check, okay? So here, for example, it detected a division by 0, but this is obviously not something that we should worry about. But there are other cases where, where this could be, not the case. This is also another example that is innocuous. For example, this OMFIT has no way to know that pi is a float. So it marks this one as a possible integer division. Okay, and so it's up to the developer to go through these changes and indeed verify that these are okay. So if we want to look at the changes, we could do git diff on in the working directory, or you could use a graphical tool like this one to see what has changed. And so here we see that, for example, in Python 3, so what the 2 to 3 conversion script will also do is we will use, I think it will try to use more robust ways of checking things. So for example, type value is string is casted as instance value string, okay? Another change that it did is that the zip command returns iterators instead of lists, and so it wrapped the zip command into a list command. All of these are good changes.
So what's your strategy for this? Is to have people run the script and then sanity check it themselves?
Correct. So we can run this automatically for all the modules, but I think if people and perhaps as the deadline approaches, we may start doing that. But if people have time beforehand and they want to make sure that these things are done, in the most in the best way, I think they should spend 5 minutes to go through this.
So how do you tag again if you made the routine functional in Python 3? Is it detected and not run through the
right? So what happens is that under the tutorial module now settings
it's looking for that setting.
It's Python 3 has been set.
Sure, no, I just
so if we had to import this module again, let's import
Yeah,
the tutorial module. Again, now this one is just imported without having to go through.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
And so, for example, one change from Python 2 to 3 has been that print is a function, it's not a statement. And so the script has added all of these parentheses. Also, things like from future imports are not needed anymore, so these are deleted. These are strings. This is all fine. So one, I think, big difference is that if you have a dictionary and you ask for the keys, this again returns a key iterator, which I think the main difference is that you cannot index. So you cannot say, give me the fifth key. If you want to do that, you have to convert it to a list. And so this is again something that if you don't know better, like we could go see where this change occurred. And look at here. So keys is used in a loop. Okay. So if it was me doing this, I would honestly recode this to be like this. Okay. And I think it's it's another way. Yeah, I think it's perhaps even more readable. Okay. So now the change that we've made is this one. Okay. And so basically the developer has to go through these changes, and look at things are sound. Again, something like this is something that it will raise an error in Python 3 because step keys is not indexable. So this that wouldn't work. So convert to list and then index it. So all of this is fine. This is one example where perhaps we can code this better. So we can, if Q is a dictionary, we don't have to ask for the keys to get the length. So we can simplify this coding to this. But again, what the automatic converter did was not wrong. And yet another example where this is not these lists are not needed is, for example, when you're working with for loops. So something like this would work. Okay. But like the method remove is typical of lists, and in this case again, a dictionary keys will not return as a list. So this conversion was also correct. Okay. Now the last change that we see is in the settings of this module. So now we just added the Python3 flag. If the module has a regression script, we should run it. So for example, if we go under load regression, the tutorial module has a regression. Okay. Now we can run this tutorial. We should run this tutorial twice. One in Python 3, okay, and one in Python 2. Okay.
That if you're running in Python 2,
yeah,
but your module has Python 3 in it, sorry, if it's been tagged as Python 3, then at the top of each one of those scripts, the from future import print function and
Right.
are added.
So one question could be, how do we make sure that we go through this trouble? How can we make sure that someone who runs Python 2 doesn't put back something that is only Python 2 compatible? And the way this is done is if the module has this Python3 flag, even when we're running Python 2, OMFIT will enforce these enforce the behavior, the future behavior of Python 3 on the scripts that are run as part of this module. And so ideally, this should catch most of the cases where someone could still break things by running Python 2 and developing in Python 2. The quicker we can make the overall transition, the easier it would be. In the sense, the hard part is keeping both systems working at the same time. So if we can step quickly from one foot to the other, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. And when we're happy, we can we usually mark this as a Python 3 change, and then we can say convert to the tutorial module. And probably the tutorial module was running also zipfit as part of this. So I haven't, we haven't checked that one perhaps. So maybe we shouldn't commit those changes. We can commit and push. Okay, so I think people should try it on their module, push to their own branch, to separate branch, and hopefully this shouldn't take too much time actually. Especially I think for most modules, there are a few modules that they're pretty big. OMFIT profiles, trans, 1, 2, these modules probably will take a bit of time and effort, but most modules should. Okay.
But the initial conversion is done automatically, and then it's just a matter of checking.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
If your module has a submodule inside of it,
everything will be converted, also the submodule. So yeah. If you had to convert something, don't start by converting keyfit, because that will import all of